On tonight's CTV News, the Central City Blueprint is becoming more flexible in response to market forces. Banks Peninsula residents are tired of inaction, and Lincoln University is hoping a supergrass will become an alternative shelter belt for the rural sector. This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. The proposed Performing Arts Precinct is in doubt as major tenants explore other options.
According to a government report prepared for the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, the Performing Arts Precinct is in doubt. The Christchurch Symphony Orchestra is considering converting an aircraft hangar in Hornby into a permanent facility. The orchestra already performs in the hangar at the Air Force Museum. The plan would see the development of a fit-for-purpose concert facility with rehearsal and administration space in partnership with Ngāi Tahu. The Symphony Orchestra is one of 3 major tenants in the proposed Central City Performing Arts Precinct, set to be built and funded by the Christchurch City Council. The restoration of the Town Hall will cost almost $130 million. This leaves just $30 million to complete a concert hall for the Music Centre, a new court theatre and an administration, storage and rehearsal facility for the Symphony Orchestra. The court theatre is only considering the precinct for a future venue. Court Theatre Chief Executive Peter Aldridge says he needs more information from the council about how much it will cost to operate in the new venue. The Court Theatre currently works out of the shed in Addington. Music Centre Christchurch Chairman Steve Jones is frustrated at the delays and may consider venue options outside the precinct if progress is not made soon.
Today, Earthquake Recovery Minister Gerry Brownlee lifted the designation on 1.07 hectares of land on the north block of the Performing Arts Precinct. This recognises that not all of the land formally designated for the precinct is needed and allows property owners to proceed with their own development plans. The decision to spend almost $130 million fixing the Town Hall means that the vision for the precinct will need to change. Local developers believe the Christchurch Central Development Unit, that's the CCDU, are reviewing their Central City Blueprint and becoming more flexible with their plans.
A local developer believes the Christchurch Central Development Unit are reviewing the recovery's blueprint as they realise more flexibility is needed in order to rebuild the central city. The frontman of the City Owners Rebuild Entity Group says the CCDU has come to the realisation the bold recovery plan wasn't going to work in all of the anchor projects. The CCDU is giving landowners in the Health and Innovation Precinct and South Frame the option of retaining their sites as long as the development fits in with the vision for each project. But Gerry Brownlee, the Minister of the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority, says the CCDU wasn't planning on changing the blueprint. Instead, property developers were starting to see the value of what the CCDU was doing. The CCDU confirmed recently they were considering the removal of the designated northern block of the Arts Precinct after the Christchurch City Council's decision to repair the Town Hall. The collaborative partnership between the CCDU and landowners is too late for those in the Eastern Frame. Landowner Ernest DeVal believes the Eastern Frame owners would have relished the opportunity to retain their sites and develop them, but they weren't given the opportunity. Warwick Isaacs, the director of the CCDU, says the different projects have different options to the Crown purchasing the land.
Residents in Banks Peninsula are tired of continuous flooding and are hoping Environment Canterbury can help with a solution.
Frustrated Banks Peninsula residents and businesses want solutions once and for all. Little River, Duvashell and Akaroa were underwater for the 4th time in 2 years on Friday. Slips closed access to roads and just under a metre of water filled homes. Local community representatives are hoping Environment Canterbury will introduce a special levied rate to help cover the costs. 75% of ratepayers voted 5 years ago, but it wasn't enough for it to go ahead. The Akaroa Waiwera Community Board chairwoman believes locals can help by taking responsibility for their own streams, believing many have become wild west coast rivers, filled with boulders and debris. The floods have made businesses close and lose thousands of dollars in products, tools and freezers.
Christchurch may be about to get another zone, this time a blue zone. Political pressure is building to let owners of flood-prone properties off the hook with a government buyout.
Flood-prone areas such as the Flockton Basin and Heathcote Valley were submerged in water over Easter weekend after a storm came through on Thursday. Homes have been repeatedly hit by flooding since the earthquakes moved the land. Political pressure is building on the government to buy up the flood-prone homes and allow residents to move on. The Christchurch City Council wants Parliament to fast-track a $50 million spend on flood mitigation measures. Mayor Leanne Dalzell wants to consider rezoning the flood-prone houses. The current criteria for rezoning doesn't include flooding vulnerability, so the criteria would need to be revisited. Green MP Eugenie Sage says that the residents need a durable, long-term solution. This could include a managed retreat in some areas. The Greens advocate creating a blue zone in the worst affected areas, where the government would offer to buy flood-prone homes if people want to move. Earthquake Recovery Minister Jerry Brownlee says that flood management is a local government responsibility, and that flood mitigation proposals need to be understood and settled before any talk of red zoning and retreat.
The Christchurch City Council is seeking a new venture to put the council in a better financial position and relieve extra funding from the government.
Affordable housing in Christchurch could help the city's housing crisis and help the Christchurch City Council's financial position. The housing entity is being established by the council as part of the housing accord with the government and will be established so it qualifies for new income-related rent subsidies. These subsidies allow community housing providers such as churches and trusts to charge tenants no more than 25% of their income to rent social housing. The remainder is then topped up by the government. Currently, the council misses out on the subsidies because it's excluded as a community housing provider. But Deputy Mayor Vicky Buck believes the new housing entity will allow the council to get around that exclusion and potentially access $10 to $18 million a year in rent subsidies. The Deputy Mayor believes tenants will also see a drop in rent prices. The proposed entity would be set up using $50 million in funding from the Christchurch City Holdings Limited, and the council would own 49% of it. As part of the housing accord, the government is investing $75 million into the construction of 180 new homes in Sydenham to house residents whose homes are being repaired for earthquake damage. The housing accord is subject to ratification by the full council, based on consultation with residents regarding the council's decision to be involved in the affordable housing market.
Another abandoned building has gone up in flames. Firefighters were called to the suspicious fire just after 11 yesterday morning. Marcus Gibbs was nearby as the fire broke out.
3 engines raced to the scene of this fire after it broke out on the top floor of a 2-storey house. The home was abandoned long ago, and firefighters found the place well ablaze when they arrived.
Fire service arrived and found the upper floor of the house well involved in fire. Fire officers in breathing apparatus using high-pressure hose reels gained entry to the area of the fire via the stairwell.
The firefighters quickly tackled the flames, shooting streams of water against it.
Fire causes considered to be suspicious. The building had its power disconnected. There was no reason for anybody to be lawfully on the premises. There was evidence that people had been in the premises, and the only real possibility is that the fire's been deliberately lit.
No firebugs have been spotted in recent months, but last year a spate of fires in red-zoned abandoned houses were scaring those still living there. This fire was lit in broad daylight, but it isn't believed to have been connected with previous arsons.
They appear to happen more at night, and in this particular case it probably wasn't the part of the building that you would set alight if your intent was to burn the building to the ground. But despite all that, it does appear as if this particular fire has been deliberately lit in this room.
The fire service is hoping the firebugs don't resurface anytime soon. The residential red zone has been a playground for the arsonists, and the sooner the homes are demolished, the less chance any of those will be burned down. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Coming up, St John received a generous donation today.
The world has a great deal to tell. Journalists from across the world report on their home nations and the experiences of the people who live there. World Stories.
Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to Carpet Kingdom. At Carpet Kingdom we stock a massive range of carpets and we're also the largest vinyl stockist in the South Island. And not only do we have an excellent range in store, but you can purchase our stock online. We offer free measuring quotes, we have our own installation team, we ship nationwide, so come on down and see us at Carpet Kingdom. 312 Wilsons Road in Waltham, just off Brougham Street, or visit us online at carpetkingdom.co.nz.
Do you wear an earpiece or earmuffs? Do you have trouble hearing people or the TV? Do you have itchy ears? Then it's time to clear the air. Their gentle micro-suction technique is not only safe and efficient, but it's also performed by fully qualified, trained, registered nurse. Call for an appointment or Clear the Air can come to you. Need earplugs? We have swim, noise or aeroplane plugs and many more. No referrals necessary. Hear every moment with Clear the Air. Phone 0800 Ear Clean.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
The Home Show Spa Pool sale is on. Hi, Mike from Four Seasons. Save $2,000 on Spa Pool 947 with all the features. Spas from just $5,499 with savings up to $4,000. Home Show sale on now at Four Seasons Home and Leisure, Tower Junction Mega Centre.
I'm Chris Lynch. Join me for CTV's new current affairs show Lynched every Monday at 8:30 right here on CTV, where I talk to the decision makers and those responsible for running our city.
The Christchurch branch of St John received a boost today after 2 new ambulances were donated.
Post-quake Christchurch has seen an increase in the number of call-outs for medical help. Luckily, 2 new ambulances have arrived to help. An anonymous supporter is behind the gift.
It's incredible when we receive any gift, and to have a donation that has enabled us to actually go out and purchase 2 ambulances, coincidentally at the time of our annual appeal, is fantastic.
Each costs more than $160,000 to fit out, and annual running costs add up to more than $1 million per ambulance. It's not a cheap job, and every year rundown ambulances have to be taken off the streets. In the South Island, 12 new ones join the fleet every year.
The state of the roads, the amount of road works, we basically need more resource. You know, we've just got some funding through to get us some additional ambulance staff, some new paramedics. So it is very exciting timing for us that we can go through this together, that we've got some new ambulances.
With an ageing population and problems with diseases like diabetes, the demand for services is high. This is not even taking the earthquakes into account.
It is increasing anyway. The earthquakes do put an extra pressure on.
St John has 100 ambulances in Canterbury and needs to raise $30,000 a day to cover costs. This is because the first responder is only 80% government funded. The rest comes from donations, like the one that helped put these 2 on the roads. If you look closely, you might see they're a bit different to most ambulances.
They're called Yorkie because our donor has a special connection with York, and so she wanted to do something different, and we were just more than happy to oblige.
St John's in the middle of its annual appeal. In the South Island last year, nearly $730,000 was raised. This year the target is $1 million. The team hopes to surpass this over the next few weeks. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
With many of Canterbury's hedgerows torn out to make way for pivot irrigators, a Lincoln University study is looking at an alternative shelter belt plant. One PhD student believes Macranthus, a Japanese hybrid, could be much more than a windbreak and coexist with pivots. Patrick Phelps reports.
Since hedgerows were removed for pivot irrigation, stock and pasture have had to endure without shelter belts. Chris Littlejohn is studying whether this plant can fill the void the hedgerows left behind.
So the reason we looked at Miscanthus was because you can get 4 metre high growth off the plant, and it allows the centre pivot to pass through it because it's got flexible nature.
Height's important. The higher the plant, the greater the protected area of paddock.
So you'll get 60-70 metres into paddock of shelter benefit from your 4 metre high shelter belts.
And it's quite a flexible plant, just bends over and goes straight back up again?
Yeah, if you look at it when we've got a gale blowing, that's the nature of it. It bends quite happily in the wind and then springs back up to the way it should be once the gales are finished.
It's important for it to be flexible so it can just bend under any pivot passing over top. As well as providing shelter for dairy cattle, it gives much needed protection to grass.
So we've looked at grass growth in the sheltered area of the paddock compared to a control area of equivalent size in the unsheltered part of the paddock. We've recorded 10 to 15% more pasture growth where we've had shelter effect.
Far from just a windbreak, the plant has a number of uses. By using it as a cover, farmers could really be hedging their bets. It can be used as straw for bedding, feeding cattle, and even feeding machinery.
One of the key areas that we're looking at is trying to introduce a plant that's been developed in America over into New Zealand, where you put biomass in one end and produce diesel at the other end that is usable and can be put straight into the tractor or the trucks and used straight away.
With irrigation, it can yield 30 tonnes of dry matter per hectare, which in turn produces 9,000 litres of diesel. While it may be useful for tractors and utes, the Hokitika-based dairy co-op sponsoring the research could take it further.
Western Milk, who sponsor the research that we're doing, one of the key things that they could be looking at was producing diesel and then using that to fuel their trucks as they collect milk.
At its full height, Miscanthus will stand 4 metres tall. So far this planting is 3 metres high. It also gives shelter to slightly smaller creatures, the bumblebees who inhabit these motels.
All the motels that or any motels that have been occupied by bumblebees have been in the Miscanthus. So if you've got bumblebees on the farm, then they're one of the most important insects for pollinating clover. In fact, red clover can only be pollinated by bumblebees.
As with any exotic plant, the risks of invasiveness were thoroughly checked before it was allowed to be grown in New Zealand 4 years ago. Ecologically, they found it to be perfectly safe. Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
What a fascinating plant. Still to come, the sport, traffic and weather updates.
Hi, Rob Coate-Williams. Join me with Rob's Country every Friday at 7:30 in the evening when I take you out of town and talk about anything that's country. Rob's Country, Friday at 7:30.
Located at the foot of the Port Hills, Berrymead Golf offers a spectacular location for any occasion. Make a dream wedding a reality with private use of our green function room, outdoor garden courtyard, large marquee and stunning gazebo. Or for your next conference, enjoy the relaxed atmosphere of Berrymead Golf, offering a private, spacious conference room with special deals to make any break a true break. All with customised catering from the Wow Cafe. Berrymead Golf, 50 Berrymead Park Drive, right next to the Berrymead Heritage Park.
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring moving company. Oi!
With so many car fans in the region, Canterbury Christian Funeral Services have been asked very often if they had an enthusiast hearse. So they bought one. The Ford Galaxy is a custom-built hearse for those who want their last journey to be a memorable one. Complete with racing motor and exhausts, the vehicle certainly stands out, and if you want to go out in something that's very different, or you want your loved one to have their last journey very special, contact the team at Canterbury Christian Funeral Services.
With concerns about resistance, we changed to Eclipse E and the results have been outstanding.
We use Eclipse to grow all our dairy replacements to their full potential.
For optimum weight gains, for 5-star beef contracts, we use Eclipse.
Eclipse, boron and injection for cattle, proudly available from your local vet.
Every Monday night I'll take you out and about around the region's A&P shows from Cheviot to Temuka. You'll meet the exhibitors, have a look at the sheep and cattle and horses, and also have a look at what people have been producing. Rob's Country Showtime, 8:30 on a Monday night, CTV.
With the Easter weekend at an end, it's time to catch up on all the sporting action with Gordon Findlater.
They may not have scored a try, but the Crusaders Super Rugby campaign took one giant leap in the right direction on Saturday night when they defeated the defending champion Chiefs in Hamilton 18-17. The Crusaders gained a slight edge in a mistake-ridden opening to the match before going down a man when Dominic Bird was issued a yellow card in the 28th minute. The Chiefs then found the rhythm to open up to a 17-9 lead going into the break. The second half brought some lapses in discipline from the Chiefs, and after a series of penalty attempts from Colin Slade, the Crusaders found themselves with a 1-point lead with just 9 minutes of play left. With the hooter sounded, the Chiefs worked their way to the halfway line and earned a penalty shot, with Gareth Anscombe's attempt falling short to give the Crusaders a vital win. The win means that the Cantabs are now just 3 points behind the Chiefs in the race for the New Zealand Conference and find themselves inside the top 6 playoff spots for the first time this season. The Crusaders have a bye this weekend. It was a disappointing weekend for the Canterbury Rams, who sunk to their 3rd straight defeat to begin their National Basketball League campaign. It was a case of second quarter blues for the Rams, who managed just 6 points, shooting 3 from 14 field goals in the second period. Trailing by 15 at the halfway mark, the Rams never really got themselves back in the match, eventually going down 82-64. The Mainland Tactics are beginning to look odds-on in the race for the wooden spoon in the ANZ Netball Championship. The Tactics took on fellow strugglers the Southern Steel at CBS Arena last night and were left trailing early. The Steel began strong, jumping out to a 26-16 lead after the first quarter. The Tactics did manage to improve the efforts in the second quarter to get the gap back to 8 points as they trailed 40-32 at half-time. The Steel were dominant in the third quarter to give themselves a 61-43 lead going into the final quarter. The Steel were eventual winners with a score of 77-61. And finally tonight, Lincoln University have maintained their perfect start to the Hawkins Cup Club Rugby competition. They lead after 3 rounds with 3 bonus point wins after defeating Sydenham 33-22 on Saturday. New Brighton also secured their 3rd straight win over Shirley, winning 13-0, while Burnside remain unbeaten with a narrow 17-15 win over Linwood. Other results saw Marist defeat High School Old Boys 34-5, Sumner defeated winless Universities 11-0, while Belfast were thumped 75-6 by Christchurch. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Findlater for CTV Sport.
If you're driving around the central city, CTV's new traffic update will assist you navigating the repairs taking place.
Hello travellers, to help you plan your journey around the central city, here's a few tips on how to avoid the traffic jams this week. Work around the Manchester Street and Beeley Avenue intersection continues this week, however there will be a few changes. Sherborne Street will soon reopen to two-way traffic at the intersection of Beeley Avenue. Good news at Manchester Street where it meets Beeley Avenue, this section will no longer be completely shut off to traffic. Instead, Beeley Avenue will be down to 2 lanes at this intersection for east and westbound traffic. Keep watching CTV News first at 5 for the latest updates on what's happening with the central city roads. And in the meantime, visit the Transport for Christchurch website.
Well, it's a new week and that means new weather music. Tonight's music is a track entitled April's Song from Real Estate's new album Atlas. Ready please, Mr. Music? Here's your regional weather.
Kia ora everyone, let's take a look at today's temperatures. Timaru, 12 degrees today. Temuka and Geraldine on 12 degrees out your way. Ashburton, 11. Methven, 12 degrees. Rakaia also on 11. Darfield on 12. Leeston and Rolleston on 11 degrees. And Lincoln had 11 today as well. Christchurch, 11 degrees for you. Akaroa, a low 11 degrees over your way as well today. And out of North Canterbury, Kaipoi, Rangiora and Amberley all had 12 degrees today. Inland now, Culverden and Hanmer Springs, 13 for you, and the same there in Cheviot. And further up along the east coast, our friends there in Kaikoura received 13 degrees today. Now for the weather in your area. Timaru, fine for your Wednesday with high cloud increasing during the day and moderate northerly winds. Tonight's low 8 degrees, tomorrow's high 18. Ashburton, sunshine and increasing high cloud in mid-Canterbury as well, with a mild afternoon with northerly winds. Tonight's low 8 degrees, tomorrow's high 18. Northeasterly breezes and fine weather all day expected in Christchurch. Tonight's low 8 degrees, tomorrow's high 17. Kaikoura, fine and sunny at first with high cloud increasing during the day and moderate mild northerly winds. Tonight's overnight low is 8 degrees, tomorrow's high 19. In other areas around Canterbury, a fine day ahead with some cloud about for most. Methven 18 and 17 there for Rakaia. Darfield, you're on 18 degrees tomorrow, and Leeston 17 degrees for you. Rolleston and Lincoln 17 degrees for you as well, and also Akaroa will have 17 degrees tomorrow. And out to North Canterbury, Kaipoi and Rangiora 18 degrees tomorrow. Amberley also have 18 expected there, and Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot also have a fine day ahead with 19 degrees. Looking ahead for Canterbury, mostly fine on Thursday with sunny periods and some cloud, mostly low cloud morning and night, moderate northeasterly winds, pleasant temperatures. Mild on Friday with northerlies freshening and high cloud increasing during the day. Mild northerlies at first on Saturday, but cooler southwesterlies developing during the afternoon with some low cloud and maybe some showers. It'll be fine on Sunday and Monday with light to moderate northeasterly winds, sunny periods and scattered cloud. And that's your weather update for Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And remember, you can choose the music for your regional weather. Just send us your suggestions by email or on our Facebook page. That's CTV News for Tuesday. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.